I think one reason that is not happening is that we misunderstand Communist China. Let me be clear, they are a great nation with great ambition. They have 1.4 billion people that are extremely hardworking. We underestimate them the way we underestimated Imperial Japan before World War II. We didn't think that Imperial Japan could cause us the problems they did, but they did. We somehow think that the Communist Chinese simply want what we want, which is to make money. We don't think they want to run the world. They spend every year roughly $16 billion on intelligence and influence operations in this country. 16 billion. It's a lot of money. Think what you could do with 16 billion. That's not even counting the 40 billion, Frank mentioned, the 300,000 students, Chinese students in American universities. That's $40 billion. So that 16 billion is not even counting that 40 billion. The 16 billion is just for intelligence and influence operations. Most of the events we do in Washington, there is certainly someone from the Chinese Communist Party there. Frank and I have been around Washington, D.C. There'll be Chinese people following us. When I'm in California, that doesn't happen. They can monitor me, I'm sure, electronically. But in D.C., they'll follow us to see who we're meeting with because they want to know. And they have a budget of $16 billion. Now, what do they do with that $16 billion? They've been working with progressive groups in the United States with transnational corporations, and they have a simple goal, and that is to dismantle the U.S. economy and to subjugate the American military to the Chinese military.
My name is Jackie Deal, and like Rob, I'm here from Washington, D.C. We work with a group called State Armor that's actually based out of Texas and is trying to help states protect themselves from transnational threats. And like Rob, I've spent my career looking into China's military buildup. And through that work, I've come to appreciate that the Chinese Communist Party's strategy for winning a war against the United States and supplanting the United States is very different from the way that we in Wisconsin or in the United States think about competing and fighting. Their strategy, because the CCP was an underground, clandestine communist revolutionary organization, puts the role of subversion and infiltration and co-option first and thinks about using force later, whereas in the United States, we think of ourselves as being kind of in a peacetime, steady state, and every once in a while having to fight, usually overseas, if we are attacked or if an ally is attacked. They see themselves as perennially engaged in a struggle. And the way to win and to compete to win is to subvert, infiltrate, co-opt. They have a term for it. They call it using the local to surround the central. And it was first how this Chinese Communist Party took power in China, and now how they're seeking to advance the Chinese Communist Party's ambitions around the world, including in the United States. That's why you had the Secretary of State in the first Trump administration warn about these subnational infiltration efforts, and you had the intelligence community under President Biden put out a publication directly warning state and local governments and business leaders about CCP infiltration and co-option attempts. Here in Wisconsin, last week at a hearing, you heard about Chinese Communist Party intelligence-linked companies operating in Madison and elsewhere in the state. So I just wanted to join Rob and the legislators in urging the Senate and the Assembly to look carefully at these bills, because it's very important to protect Wisconsin's genetic material from a Chinese military-linked program to develop targeted bioweapons. It's very important to take a stand against illegal forced organ harvesting and the genocide that's taking place in Western China. We don't want people in Wisconsin to be complicit in that. And it's very important to take a stand to protect first of all, the Chinese diaspora, but second of all people in the United States from the long arm of the Chinese Communist Party's intelligence and surveillance apparatus that they're trying to extend through transnational repression. So these bills are, I think, a very important step towards protecting, again, the people of Wisconsin and the state of Wisconsin and the nation.
Possibly as soon as next week. And Maria, one of the big parts of this agreement, and I'm going to break the news here on your story, is the massive amount of agriculture purchases that the Chinese are going to be doing in this agreement. So the Chinese have agreed to buy 12 million metric tons of soybeans during this season, right now, between now and should be January. And then for the next 3 years, they're going to be buying a minimum a minimum of 25 million metric tons per annum for the next 3 years. What I would expect is, as President Trump did in 2020, after President Xi had agreed to the phase 1 deal, he called him regularly and got him to buy more, and that number went up much higher.